welcome to GSL Up and Down matches. We had one Prime player, Maru, get through. Can MarineKing do it again? He's in a group with two Protosses, the only two Protoss group we have.
Yeah. Today back at the GSL, say hello to the robots, guys. I guess we're going to have our theme later on again.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have Maru, and now the MarineKing is going to try to do exactly the same. And we already joked a little bit about what happens if he can't do it. I feel that he has to take the title of the Marine Prince, and Maru will be the new king of the Prime team. But we're going to find out right now. MarineKing is also starting in the opening match.
Yeah, he is indeed. And this is going to be a pretty interesting day of matches, just simply because the level of play we have is quite high. We have Bang or Bang. I don't even know actually which one he prefers. I guess we'll find out when the intro comes in.
It's probably going to be Bang, I feel.
Yeah.
As soon as we have the intro, we'll definitely find out. But yeah, he's the same as Savage yesterday. He came in to the tournament as a seed.
Yeah, he came in as a seed, being some really strong players. So looking forward to seeing how he turns out in this group. We saw yesterday Savage was able to actually get out with a really, really high score. So, I mean, maybe Bang could do the same thing.
Savage, the new Byakugan Zerg, who had like the perfect scouting every single time he played. It was really crazy. Of course, we don't only have the up and downs, but we have the finals for the GSL coming up on Saturday at 3 p.m. KST. Keep that in mind. It's a little bit earlier than it usually is.
Yeah, 3 hours early, you know, for those of you who normally watch at the 6:10 time. So get your friends together, get a viewing party going. It's always great to get everybody together, get a pizza, you know, order a bunch of Chinese food, or, you know, if you like to cook, you make nachos. That's how I like to watch GSL Finals, get a bunch of people,
it's going to be pretty cool.
Food.
Everyone, a lot of people expect Innovation to win it, but Solki has shown excellent play in the last few rounds. Maybe not in all of them, but I feel that especially against Innovation, he's going to shine. He already defeated his opponent in a Pro League once, and we might actually see him now do it in the GSL Finals too. So it's going to be pretty intense. I really hope that we are going to see all the 7 maps, but that's something that we have to find out on Saturday. Now we're focusing a little bit on the up and downs here. We have the match results from our last few groups.
Yep, Fantasy and Savage getting out. You know, both of them advancing 3-0 to the StarLeague. And of course, Trust, Yoda, and Golden all falling. Golden having a really tough time, especially going 0-3.
Yeah.
All of them will be in the Challenger League.
Yoda also out of luck yesterday, especially against Savage. His early 8 racks Reaper build did not work since Savage scouted it immediately with the drone. And from then on out, Yoda was in a lot of trouble, could not recover. But today we have a bit of a different lineup. We have 2 Protoss, 2 Terrans, and 1 Zerg player. True, the only fighter for the Swarm today, but MarineKing and Hurricane, our opening team today, we'll find out if they can advance. They're actually 2 of the favorites. A lot of people also expect First to do well, and there's always the dark horse, and there's always Bang.
Yeah, you know, this is his first time playing in a televised match in the studio. As you can see, his results show he's played 0 games. Never played for his team in the Team League either. He is the darkest dark horse that we've ever seen.
But what we talked about already when we had Savage in the games yesterday is that all these seeds, all the 2 of them, they had to go through a mini-tournament first and defeat their opponents. So they already have proven that they are really strong and that they can take these players. And Savage proved that yesterday in quite convincing fashion. Bang might be able to do the same today. So he's one of those guys that should not be underestimated.
Yeah, Hurricane would be great for him to go straight into Codes as well. He's been a great player for the Team League for Epics Open. Never really been able to shine in the individual league, never been in Codes before. So for him to be able to make it here would be a really cool story. I feel like the story that everybody's focused on the most, though, is MarineKing. Can he actually keep it together here? Because he has been struggling a lot. Look at his win rate, 67-41. I mean, he's been around for a long time. He's got a lot of wins under his belt. He's got a ton of experience. But, I mean, even look at that. He's got a fan here in the studio cheering for him as we speak. Foreign fan.
Nice drawing here. This is, of course, Hurricane, a.k.a. Tier. Changed his nickname. Playing for FX Open today, and he already got an all-kill in the GSTL. MarineKing, on the other hand, in the Team League, not too successful.
Yep.
This is going to be intense today. I'm really excited to see these games, especially I want to see if MarineKing is able to get out of this group and back into Codes. He's been struggling a bit, as did the entire Prime team, but Maru was at least able to claim one of the Codes spots. Can MarineKing repeat that performance, or will he fall down today? Will players like First and Hurricane step it up for Protoss and claim 2 of the Codes seats? We have once again a 5-player group. Every map counts. It's all best of 1, and our starting map today is going to be Daybreak.
Daybreak, the oldest map in the pool, you know, the map that everybody knows. It's been around for so long. Finally got out of the ladder, and tournaments are starting to use it a little bit less, but we still have it here. No word yet on whether it'll be in the next season or not, but it's going to be here for this these particular matches, and these players know the map well.
Yeah. Joya in the studio, he was quite confident that Hurricane would be able to get out of his group. Of course, we have supporters for all of the players here so far. I'm most excited to see Bang later on. I really want to see if he can repeat what Savage did yesterday. But MarineKing, of course, as you already pointed out, one of the bigger stories here. A lot of people also expect First to do well, but First is... I'm not quite sure if he can do it today.
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. He's had his good days and his bad days in Heart of the Swarm for sure.
That definitely puts it into words. He is a little bit inconsistent with his performance. Definitely a strong player when he's in tip-top shape, but can he pull it off today? We're going to find out soon enough. First of all, we're having a look at MarineKing versus Hurricane here at Terran versus Protoss, and map number 1 is Daybreak here at the GSL Up and Downs Group C with Carl and Wolf. Hello, robots. They're here today too. Top right, we have the Protoss player for Team FX Open, formerly known as Tier. He is
FXO Hurricane.
Find out what class of Hurricane he is today.
Yeah, the winds of change certainly blowing in this group.
For sure.
Well, starting to the bottom left, we have his opponent. He was the former star player for the Prime team. Can he go back to Codes? He is
MarineKing Prime.
You know, he's arguably considered the weakest of the 4 pillars of Prime right now, with Creator, Bjorn, Maru, and MarineKing himself. You know, those are the 4 players they always rely on in the team league, the ones who do the best in the individual league, generally speaking, as well, since they lost Boom Boom, and MarineKing has been looking a little bit shakier.
The problem with MarineKing in general is that there are 2 things that seem to be true about him just in general. He plays usually very greedy, and he also does not really know when to GG out of a game. His GG timings are quite famous, and also the greed that he usually shows is something that we can observe every single time. He was mentioning countless times that he wants to change his builds, that he thinks that he needs to just scout a little bit more, that he needs to change his timings. And we actually see him with a gas here, so he's not going in this normal style that we would have expected with him going right into a command center, a style that he has shown in the past. In this matchup against Protoss now, he starts with an earlier gas and takes a page out of the book of Maru.
Yeah, definitely. Going to be starting with some aggression here. And this is something that Hurricane sees already. The reactor goes down first, so he's going to see that on his way out. And it just looks more and more like we're just going to see a reactor expand. But he still keeps all of his SCVs in the gas. That's something that Hurricane verifies as well. And since he skipped the Marine, the probe can just stay around here for as long as he wants.
Exactly. The probe can now annoy him a little bit. Does not really work on those mineral patches or anything. Doesn't try to screw up the mining process of MarineKing's SCVs. Now the mule being called down, and immediately the probe is trying to do a bit of harass here, but we will have the reactor in just a second, and then the first few Marines will be out for MarineKing, and then he can of course just make sure that he is just throwing everything back.
Yeah. Hurricane just wants to see if it's going to be a factor, but in fact we have a double Reaper opening. We saw Maru do this exact same thing just before, so...
A lot of Reapers in the early game can be really, really strong for a Terran player. I'm not quite sure if this is something that Hurricane is going to expect here. We have the expansion already been started. The Mothership Core is now on its way, and this will help Hurricane a lot. Keep in mind, guys, that Hurricane already got an all-kill in the GSTL. He has shown a strong performance, so even if you don't recognize this nick, you should know who Tyr is. He changed his nickname, and MarineKing is definitely up against one of the stronger opponents in this group.
Definitely so. And you know what's interesting to me is Hurricane he still started his next after he saw this reactor, and now his build is just barely crisp enough where he can hold this. He knows that this is likely Reapers because he didn't see a factory, he didn't see a command center, so he's just sitting there going, okay, well, this has to be Reapers. So he positions his units right at the edge of the cliff here.
Stalker immediately being attacked, but the first Reaper already going? No, not going down, just barely able to save it. But the Mothership Core helped out quite a lot here, of course. MarineKing once again with the early +1 attack upgrade. This is something that has been becoming a huge trend in Terran versus Protoss.
Yeah. It just allows you to keep up with your upgrades. Oh, look at this probe! That's such a beautiful probe. Scotty gets in there, sees the command center, sees the factory. or rather the second barracks knows it's not a factory.
Yeah. The only thing that he didn't see was the engineering bay and the +1 attack upgrade, but he knows that there's now the tech coming up, and we already have for his opponent, for Hurricane, the robotics started, so the transition has been initiated, and we will see an observer out there to just confirm what's happening in MarineKing space, trying to play it as safe as possible so that he can react to MarineKing's next moves.
Yeah, you know what is a little bit strange is we've seen MarineKing and other players do this a lot on this map, and I wonder why. This map is the hardest map to jump on cliffs into the main base because there's only one place, and that's at the ramp, so that's why Hurricane was able to deflect the Reapers so easily. MarineKing didn't get a lot of information here, so I would like to ask him. Maybe I will later.
Yeah, the best scenario that you could possibly get would if your opponent would start with a Zealot.
Yeah.
If your opponent starts with a Zealot instead of a Reaper, of a Stalker and a Mothership Core, then of course you're in a really good spot because you just can dance circles around the melee unit. But that is rarely the case these days in this matchup. So we have the Stalker out once again here for Hurricane, therefore he could just make sure that there was nothing happening with those two Reapers. MarineKing just with a slight investment here, and he is still trying to scout what's going on, but the Stalkers are shutting this down, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, MarineKing just can't get in the main, but not on this map. On other maps, like Aklon, for example, or Red City, he would have been in the main probably 3 or 4 times by now, would have been harassing probes and scouting everything, but on this map, it's just not possible. It looks like he wants to just hit that 1-1 timing with stem combat shields.
Red City is a pretty sick map for Reapers.
Yeah, so sick.
Well, what we have right now for Hurricane is also starting his tech here. MarineKing already completed the +1 attack upgrade, and finally the Reapers getting into the main base, finding an opening here, and can now not only work at those probes, but they also were able to bait out a bit of energy from that Mothership Core.
Yeah, a fairly even trade. He saw the Forge for sure, and the Robo he did see as well, so that was actually worth it. To get the Scout and also to bait that and kill one probe, it was worth the trade.
Yeah. +1 armor upgrade now coming up, so he will be on 1-1. All comes down to how well Hurricane uses his chrono boosts to keep up with the upgrades of his opponent. And MarineKing is already moving out. He has his force out on the map, and he is trying to do some damage now, getting a lot of Marines into action here. And this could really hit Hurricane hard if he's not prepared, especially since he used a lot of the Mothership Core energy now.
Yeah.
So he can't possibly use all the abilities that he wants.
Exactly. Right now, his Mothership Core has 100 energy only, so once he uses the initial charge, he's going to need a lot of time before he can do a second one. MarineKing has got such a nice timing here that he can hit with Combat Shield, Stem, +1/1 upgrades, a lot of medevacs out, and he can split up his units because he's powered up for so long. He gets them into the main and the natural.
He has been spotted though. This is the problem. What MarineKing is trying to do here is to hit before the Colossi are there, and he might be able to pull this off. We currently have Hurricane in a position where he knows what's coming, but can he really stop it? Yes, there are a few units for him, and he needs to have good force fields. This is why we see the sentries now on the high ground at the choke point. He wants to buy time for this Colossus.
Yeah, he needs to spend all of his chrono energy on his Colossi, and so far he is not sparing a second. 3 additional gateways about to finish as well. He starts a second Colossus. You know, some people would have skipped it in this case to try to get a few more units out, but he has the time. He feels comfortable with those sentries.
Chrono boost into the main, afterburners into the main base would also be an option here for MarineKing now with those few medivacs that he has here. His timings for the second engineering bay and the armory are also good. He's still macroing up behind it. His combat shield is nearly completed, as is the +1 armor upgrade.
He knows he can't go in there without those upgrades. You know, to do that would be a huge mistake.
1-1 now for MarineKing, 1-0 for Hurricane. And the Protoss player now is going straight into the Twilight Council so that he can access the +2/+2. Here comes the drop into the main base as expected, but one Colossi already en route.
Yeah, and this is mostly Marines in the drop, only one Marauder. And so he's actually just going to... He's going to have to turn around. He thought about it for a second, but no.
He thought about dropping on the Colossi. He thought that it was the only unit that was trying to defend here, but he didn't see the reinforcements, and then he decides to just back off once again. A few Zealots running past to the left side, trying to harass the Terran player, and he actually does a decent job here, delaying this command center a little bit, but he was not able to take down the SCV, so not really the best investment, but the thought process behind it was perfect.
Yeah, it also gives him the information that it's there in the first place, so he knows that now for sure too.
Yeah.
And MarineKing, you know, he had a great timing, but I respect his choice to say, you know what, this isn't going to work. I didn't hit this exactly like I wanted to, and just backed away. Because a commitment into the main base could have been a disaster. It could have worked well if, you know, Hurricane was out of position, but he saw the units there and he was like, no, this is just not going to work.
And what we have for MarineKing right now is a bit of a transition. He goes into the Hellbats at the front so that he has a good buffer against the Zealots. We don't really see anything against his opponent's Colossi, and there are already 3 Colossi on the map. The scan trying to find out if there's another observer so they can take it out. And this is a really strong Bioforce that he has. He's going to have +2/+2 fairly soon, and the composition is a really good one. The only problem that he has is that he doesn't have anything to deal with the Colossi.
Yeah, no Vikings at all. He's just continuing to make medevacs. There's only 3 Colossi, so if he splits well, he can fight them, but it's going to be about positioning, and Hurricane has a lot of sentries available to him too that he hasn't used any energy on just yet. A nice little medevac scout here boosting forward to go check.
Yeah, the Colossi are already there. MarineKing is actually playing very cautious in this game. This is not what we usually see from him, so he even has a few units over at the third base, playing very different, not as greedy as you would usually expect from him.
Yeah.
Not taking too many risks there. Now the DTs are coming into play. The Dark Shrine just finishing. MarineKing sees it immediately with his units.
Starts turrets immediately, but you know he doesn't have any scans at this moment in time, so the DTs could do damage here. He waits for some reason. He doesn't realize he's been spotted.
A nice wall at the front. MarineKing not taking any chances here. But he has to be careful with his medivacs. He sees it in the last second and is able to get all of them to safety. The scan is finally ready and he takes down 2 DTs. So the Halberd drop in the main base not successful. Hurricane saw it and reacted. But still, this is a pretty decent position for MarineKing to be in at this point.
Yeah, he's only lost 1 worker until this entire game. And I don't even think that was the DT.
Those DTs didn't do anything.
Yeah, 3 DTs dead for nothing.
And that's a huge investment. Another Dark Templar is now being warped in, but we have the missile turret nearly completed, so we will have detection at the third. Hurricane is trying to go into +2/+2 and also adding additional structures here. Ooh, the turret not ready just yet, and there are no units over there. MarineKing moving out with a huge army.
Yeah, he's just going for it here. He's going for a big push. He gets up into the natural, but there's too much Protoss here, and he way over targets on that Colossus. This is a perfect engagement for Hurricane.
The force fields are great here. He has the perfect force field. Donut MarineKing with this micro immediately just elevated a few units onto the high ground, trying to do damage here. The time warp comes through for Hurricane though.
And here comes those Colossi from the back on the right side, and Hurricane crushing this army here, out of Zealots suddenly, but he just has too much DPS. There's no Vikings like you mentioned earlier.
Really good blink micro also by Hurricane, always just bouncing back with the few stalkers that he has, taking that damage, but in the main base we have a few units for MarineKing trying to do damage, but the Chrono Boost or the Overcharge already are active on the Nexus, and Hurricane defending really well here. And MarineKing about to lose his command center. He need a mule.
He has nothing. Gone. 1 DT killed everything there. Not only the command center, but all the SCVs that were over there as well.
That was really weird. I saw the DT attacking. I was like, okay, the DT is getting a few kills here, but I expected MarineKing to set units over there, just a few of them. But apparently he didn't do that, so the Dark Templar had enough time to take down this CC. And MarineKing, who formerly wasn't a supply lead and had a really good position with his upgrades, finds himself in a really bad spot now.
Yeah, and now the upgrades are about to equalize for Hurricane. He's up 20 supply, has a third base fully operational. That was just really almost panicky play there, very haphazard by MarineKing, just suddenly deciding to go for the engagement and totally messed it up. Now losing more SCVs.
He was trying to hit the timing with +2/+2, having an upgrade lead over his opponent, and he thought that he has enough DPS to push through even without Vikings, but he didn't account for the Colossi numbers of Hurricane at all.
He didn't pull his SCVs either, which is what you normally see with a push like this. In this case, the force fields were so good that I don't think that would have helped him. Hurricane's force field donuts on that army were basically perfect. MarineKing not able to get a whole lot done. He did get that 1 force in the main base, but that did not do enough damage.
Things are spiraling out of control for MarineKing now. Hurricane is on 3 bases against 2. He's heading into 3/3 upgrades. We have him even with the charge upgrade about to be completed. He has a massive army, the better economy. For MarineKing, this is such an uphill battle. Hurricane is even now adding the Templar Archive and is making sure that he can add additional tech to his composition.
Yeah. Hurricane still has the TT scouting the composition, and finally getting taken out, but it wastes a scan. Another Zealot run by getting ready. Over here, he's not going to use it until he sees a command center, which isn't even ready either.
Just a little bit odd to see this. The position for MarineKing really was a good one, but Hurricane, he made every correct decision here. He played it safe, and of course the SCV pull here, this is desperation talking. This is like...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're so right. He's so desperate here. He knows that they're making a third command center again. It's not going to work out. He's not going to be able to keep up with the upgrades anymore either. He doesn't have the resources. And there's so many Colossi here. I just don't see this push working either.
It won't work. With only 4 Vikings, I do not see this happen. Even Zealots now running in and taking down the supply depots. MarineKing is completely all in with his push.
He's making Reapers because he knows they're going to rally across the map faster, but that's just a strange
2 of the
choice.
Vikings are gone. 2 Vikings against 4 Colossi, and this is a massacre. This is terrible damage right here.
It absolutely is, but you know what? The Colossi not able to do the maximum amount of DPS. Now he's able to do it. Now the Zealots come coming into the front.
Yeah, and the MarineKing is dropping in supply. This is guys, shield your children dies. This is brutal.
3-3 near about to complete as well, and he almost gets the last of the Colossi. It doesn't matter. GG.
Hurricane taking the game, MarineKing overextending with the first engagement, losing way too much, trying to come back afterwards, but Hurricane has a 3-base economy, has the better upgrades, or is heading towards better upgrades, and MarineKing just never had a chance with the final push. Was trying to make something happen with those SCVs, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, just was not meant to be, and MarineKing just a little bit haphazard with that first engagement. The second engagement was a good choice because he didn't really have much way to transition. You had to go all in at that point, but losing his third base to the DT, that was really sloppy. Definitely could have avoided that.
Yeah, that was definitely a big problem. He should have sent a few units over there, and I actually expected him to. We didn't really talk about that DT too much. It started to take down a few of the SCVs, but you would expect the Terran player then to send a few units over, drop the scan while he's preparing for the attack. He didn't do that.
Or even just lift, before it's going to die.
Maybe he didn't see it, but I don't think that really happened. I think he was just preoccupied with the push there.
Yeah.
As it is, MarineKing now down one game in the group already, and I feel a little bit sorry for him. I feel that his opening was really strong. It was a lot safer than we usually see from him, and it looked like he was really approaching this very cautious. But then this engagement just didn't work. Against the Colossi without any Vikings whatsoever, he had no chance. Walking in the choke point as well, we had all the force fields for Hurricane. And the Protoss player is a strong opponent to face. We talked about his record in the GSTL and also that he is one of the favorites to get out of the group if you look at the recent performance. But so far we have Hurricane in 1-0 lead, MarineKing is now down, and our next game, as you can see, the two players already on screen, is going to be First versus True.
Yep. The only Zerg player of the group, True. A lot of people putting him as a high favorite to get out just simply because of his past results. But First, definitely somebody you do not want to count out. He has gotten all kills. He has gotten great performances overseas.
Yeah, First is definitely a strong player. I just feel that he is sometimes a little bit inconsistent, and we are going to find out if he can perform in tip-top shape today, or if he will fall down and out of this group and has to play in Code A in the next season. Now he's up against the Zerg player, the only Zerg player of the group.
Yep, the only one. See if he can get out today. Does not have an easy group ahead of him.
Star Station is going to be the map in this Protoss versus Zerg. A lot of Zerg players in the past trying to rely a little bit on Nidus networks here. The way the bases work, you can always try to sneak one in, depending on your opponent's positions, partners across the borders, around the edges. So that would of course be what we would expect here. First loss to a Zerg player in Code A, something that we have to note here. And let's see if this time he improves his Protoss versus Zerg a little bit, or if True can now come through and take the first win here in the group. The GSL up and downs, Paolo and Wolf heading to our first Protoss versus Zerg of the day.
Say hello to the robots.